When we talk about life sciences and cutting edge innovation, one premium name that immediately comes to mind is the IKP Knowledge Park. Located in Genome Valley, one of India's leading clusters for life sciences. IKP has played a pivotal role in nurturing innovation, research, and biotechnology entrepreneurship. We sat down with Mr. Sathya Dash, CEO of IKP Knowledge Park. We spoke about the remarkable journey of IKP, the role it has played in building India's biotech ecosystem, and the vision that will shape its future in the years to come. Namaskar and welcome to My Startup TV. When you talk about life science and cutting edge innovation, the name that comes to mind is IKP Knowledge Park. We are here at the Genome Valley, which is also a cluster for life sciences. And we're here with a special guest on our Thought Leaders show to understand what IKP Knowledge Park has done in its journey. He's the best man to tell us what is the vision for IKP going forward. Dr. Sathya, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, My Startup TV and Mr. Sethi. Really pleasure to be here. I've been following your work as well. You do great work, and thank you for having me here.
Thank you. So, Dr. Sathya, you have held multiple roles. You've been almost 3 decades. All of that as a journey, if you could talk about that, and also how do you bring value to in your current role?
Thank you. I think, I call myself innovation ecosystem designer and a builder, and a bit of a nomadic gene as well. But besides the typical professional degrees and all that, which I was trained in biotech, I hold a PhD and 3 masters. But beyond that, I've been fascinated for the last 18, 20 years of looking at how do you create systems that promote innovation. And in my case, it is biotech, biomedical innovation. And, I've been a student of that thinking for almost 2 decades, as you mentioned. I got trained in the UK, came back to India, thanks to many of my mentors like Professor Vijay Chandru, late Dr. M.K. Pan, and many others. The early Biotech stage from 13 onwards until 18, almost end of 2017, all the early programs of Biotech, really creating an architecture of biotech innovation in India. That has been that is still my calling card, and Biotech is still very close to me. And, hats off to the current team at Biotech, led by Dr. Jitendra and many other leaders there. I've also worked at Path, which is a global agency. Again, once the innovation is done, how do you take it to the society? So I learned a great deal from Path, working very closely with both people at Delhi as well as Seattle. Just before joining IKP, I worked with, as president of strategy with a fabulous company, an R&D arm called Biotech, R&D arm of unicorn called MallBio, and learned a lot by working very closely with Dr. Chandrasekhar Nair. And side by side, as I said, I'm a serial non-profit entrepreneur. I helped build and contributed to build a fabulous non-profit agency called Blockchain for Impact, working very closely with the founder, Sandeep Nailwal, as well as the CEO, Dr. Gaurav Singh. And then here I am. Last 2 months, I joined IKP. The legacy is just amazing of this institution.
And you joined in at a very, very critical moment. IKP just completed 25 years. And with all that experience that you bring, what kind of vision do you have for the organization going forward in the next 3 to 5 years?
First, let me bow to the amazing founders and builders of IKP. Where we are sitting, 200 acres wouldn't have been possible without the vision of late Mr. Vagu, the founder, chairman of ICICI Bank, as well as IKP Knowledge Park. To really implement that vision, my current chairperson of the board, who was the founding CEO and MD of IKP, Nipamita Chattopadhyay, I'm really amazed by what the team led by them has done. And of course, the previous boards, the current boards, the previous team, the current team, It takes everybody to contribute to what IKP has become really a stellar organization in India, leading the first and the premier license park in India. Now, we are here to be contributing to the next phase of growth of India as a product nation. And in our case, it's bioscience, life science, biomedical sciences, including agriculture, climate resilience, all of that. My park itself has some top marquee names, 40 companies, from Laurus to Sci Life Sciences to Pi Health Sciences to Curia to USP, IFF, many others. I am just saying a few names here. But the heart of IKP is also the 1800, close to 2000 startups that we have supported, lived with them in their product journey, tried to become partner in their product journey. And those are the ones are going to change India and, dare I say, the world, right? My vision, looking at the legacy of IKP, what it has done and where we are and what IKP wants to play a very positive role for India to be the product nation. My vision is to really, dig deep, double down and focus on the next set of support services that we should be giving to our startups. Number two, how can we make the park more vibrant so that these amazing companies that are in the park also start talking to each other. We have a lot of people who come in, see what is happening here, spread the word. And I believe that innovation finally is a contact sport. Useful collision is important. How do we make sure that we contribute, of course, to the state of Telangana, where we resided. We also have a play in MedTech prototyping in Bangalore. So essentially, collectively taken together, how do we work in a much more engaging way, embedded fashion with our SMEs, with our startups, with the change makers of the world in the biosciences? And that's my view.
Very nicely brought in, and startup has been there for a while. I mean, for about almost 1.5 decade. But SME is the new flavor now. Wherever you go, people are talking about SME because everybody understand that SME is the backbone of India's economy.
Correct.
So, from IKP's core mission, where do you see this fits in, and what's the vision for your beyond Genome Valley?
Let me just also quickly step back. I mentioned we are right in heart of Telangana, Hyderabad. Hyderabad is the world global center for everything that you can think about innovation in pharma. And also as things are moving towards biologics and everything, Hyderabad is the center. To your point about SMEs and startups, I completely agree. The seeding of startups that we started 15, 18 years back through Biotech and many other agencies, including Department of Biotechnology, Department of Science and Technology, the seeding has to continue. But we have reached a stage now where there is a huge portfolio of smaller startups that need to go into becoming really deeper SMEs that have global impact. How do we do that? I lived in a country called Germany. They're very famous for a word called Mittelstand, which means SMEs. And so if you look at the German economy, of course, they're big companies, but a majority of their economy is run by SMEs that do amazing technology, that are global, create impact in the rest of the world, right out of Germany. Similarly, how do we look at India and build biotech and biopharma and bioagri SMEs that are right out of here but have a global impact?
IKP Knowledge Park has a range of innovations, right? And also various individual services that you provide. Is there anything that you are excited about that you want to take it forward and you want IKP to be known with or by?
IKP has a fabulous legacy of providing support services to startups and SMEs. And I really can't pick one that I'm excited about because there are many, So we start by hand-holding very early stage startups and make them understand, navigate the world of innovation. How do they seek funding? How should they integrate regulatory thinking? What should be, how can they connect to private venture capital firms or angel funding? How can they, what is the strategy for go to market? How do they think about global markets? All of that we do either by providing targeted support through our network of mentors or internal expertise that we have. As I mentioned, we have a hardware prototyping shop in Bangalore that helps them to build products, prototype them. We have a huge park here, and that has an incubation facility that they can come and reside here and connect to the rest of the big companies in the park that they're there. So in terms of the kind of services we provide, there are many. And to your earlier question, what is my vision? I will deepen, many of these, but definitely the ones that are about accessing fund, accessing validation spaces, and finally understanding regulation and go to market.
You talked about 1800 plus startups.
Correct.
And there are SMEs.
Yes.
Established players like Laurus. Is there anything that stands out for IKP, and also from your own personal, that you would say this is the the poster boy for IKP?
I cannot just pick again. I mean, it's like asking a parent to pick the best child amongst if they have 3 or 4 kids, right? But I'm not saying that our startups are our children, but it's many of them do some absolute, globally excellent work, right? And it's very difficult to pick. But let me just remind, out of this, 1850 startups that we have supported, almost 1350, 1400 are unique startups. Right? Some of these startups might have been supported twice by some different programs, but so it doesn't matter what number is it's a humongously big number. We do, our startups do a range of world-class innovation, whether it is solid waste management, like GPS renewables. I mean, the storyline of each of them is just fabulous. We'll take probably another hour just to explain to you each of these. So whether it's GPS renewables by Mainak, who I remember it's in 2012, 13, and what a fabulous journey. Dozy by Mudit Nandavate. And many of them are women-led startups, like Lina and Rimjim are leading Brainsight, which is again, it's like providing a Google map to surgeons, how can they navigate during surgery, to companies like Salset, to even drone companies like Bharat Rohan that I think has gone through an IPO, and we have seen from the early stages, right? And they use hyperspectral imaging for looking at crops and others. So again, I've probably given you a few names, and of course I forget about Remedio. Anand has built an absolutely global company right out of India. So all of them taken together, these are like 6 or 7 I mentioned out of 1300. I can go on and on on this for the next half an hour if you want.
So, what we've seen in the last 2 decades, that the innovation, especially in life sciences, biotechnology, there's been rapid growth. And as you rightly said, IKP has played a key role in this. Though based out of Hyderabad and Genome Valley itself is a cluster. How do you see IKP shaping the future of innovation, especially at the national level?
Oh, I mean, there's no time to lose. A lot of things needs to be done. Right? The global plans of innovation, other countries are not stopping to say, hey, let India do it and then we will try. And the competition is global. And we have to be ready for our startups to give them that support that they need. To your question, what needs to be done and what has happened? If I see the last 15, 18 years, hats off to the kind of programs that the country started, whether through the DST, Nidhi Prayas, or even the establishment of BIRAC itself, right? And from BIRAC to BIRAC. And I can even proudly say that, this country can proudly say it's pre-BIRAC and post-BIRAC, you can see. Now we have many innovators across India in the bioscience, biomedical, MedTech, bioagri space. And, many have contributed to this. IKP, again, if I step back, just to give you a little bit of history, if you allow me, IKP was one of the pioneering organizations to have done grand challenges with Gates Foundation in India in 2011-12, right? So, if you look back, the seeding stage has been done. Now is the stage of the S-shaped growth curve, right? And that needs a different kind of mentality, that needs a different kind of support services that some of these startups would need as they become bigger players in global innovation. Not to say that we shouldn't continue seeding, right? We have to continue to seed, right? Because you seed 100 and maybe 5, 10 will become big. What they need is complete clarity and predictability of funding to come, whether it is public funding. Our mindsets of our institutions are changing. You can see, many IITs, Institute of Science, many national labs, CSIR, a lot of these faculties who are doing very good science are now thinking, hey, can I take part of this science and make it a useful product that is globally excellent, right? And so the mindset of our scientific community that is in our national research labs has also changed. I can also start to see that the mindset of our early stage private financiers, whether angel funders or venture capital funds, that is also starting to change. They are now taking risks in deep science startups.
Which usually takes time.
Which has a gestation period of at least 7 to 10 years, to 12 years. If you're a vaccine company, and God forbid if there's no COVID again, you have to wait at least 7, 10 years to get the vaccine out. Who is going to support that? And I think public funding is major player in that. Non-profit foundations, then private financing, all of them have to come together. Biotech also continues to play immensely important role, and Department of Science and Technology as well. So I think the government has put in a slew of amazing programs now for the next stage of growth. I am quite enthused by that. And again, to your question before, IKP wants to be a partner in each of these programs that are coming out. We'll have to take a call which ones we want to take on board and run and offer our support for these programs nationally.
So, having been associated as a media house with IKP, this is the 4th year, and very recently when we started working on the book, 25th year celebrations, one thing that is very heartwarming to hear the stories from experience and the kind of appreciation founders have for your role. That's coming right from them, right? And the other thing which was for me, which I really felt happy about was, as an entrepreneur myself, the entrepreneur are now researchers who would otherwise, would be in a lab just doing some research, report and publishing probably, but not turning entrepreneurship. And majority of them credited to IKP. They said if it was not for IKP, we wouldn't have become entrepreneurs. So what are your take on that? I mean, the one is to, have young entrepreneurs come in. The other is to get these people with experience and, who are already doing some research work. They're probably in their 40s, late 40s, and they turn into entrepreneurship.
This is the best time in India to take the risk and be an entrepreneur. As a society, as I mentioned to you, we are an evolving society. 20 years back, if you had told a researcher in a national lab to step out or not even step out, but think about, how do you take parts of their research and make it into a useful product? Many of them would not have been enthused or would not have, jumped into or dived into doing this. But in today's India, this is happening. I mean, not only that is happening, I know personally many who have actually left their jobs as faculty in IITs, in national labs like NCL, in Pune, to step out and actually run a company, right? And this is a great exemplar, a great marker of a changing society that is allowing people to take risk. That means that they are confident that if I take this risk and if it doesn't work out, I'm still okay. I think if we create a society like that, there's nothing like it. I mean, imagine 1.5 billion people. We are a country where median age is 27 or 28 something. We're a very young country, probably age-wise, right? And that amount of wisdom that we carry, if we can then start taking risk in the innovation global center would be India. I have no doubt about it. That's the societal change that I have seen. And thankfully, IKP has contributed to that societal change.
Very true. So, it is one thing to innovate, bring it up to product development, it's completely a different ballgame to commercialize it.
Oh yes.
So as IKP, what is your contribution in taking that, especially when you're working with government, academia, and all of this? If you could talk about that.
Correct. So, see, there are multiple valleys of death when you're thinking of from your ideation to final commercialization. There are multiple valleys of death, right? Even from ideation to prototyping, you have to make sure, and it looks very clunky. Who's going to believe you, right? That this will be the final product, which will be very nice and will create impact on the ground. Then you have to, you may have something, a prototype, but you have to take it through the pressure testing of a validation, clinical validation, or validation for other kind of products, that make sure that it functions as you have said, in the real world scenario, that it is actually going to create impact, that it is it's helping decisions by clinicians, or it's helping farmers on the ground, or it's helping, the final user of that product. And then finally, you have to take it to the market. And markets, react not according to the laws of thermodynamics, right? Your technology reacts, behaves, according to the laws of thermodynamics, but the markets are different. In here, I think the role of public institutions, procurement, public procurement, ability to create vendor network systems, ability to create places where startups can come, test their ideas, clinically validate that, access to clinical validation sites, sandboxing, all of that is important. And IKP is playing a role, will also play a role and deepen its role in all of this. To your question it's a very nuanced question that, what is it that we need now? We cannot just need one thing, right? I mean, it's a portfolio of things we need to do. I've been saying that it takes a village to grow a child.
Yes.
Similarly, for startups to become, take the product, final commercialization and then scale. See, commercialization is again, I mean, I've built a product, I've deployed in 1, 2, 3 customer, great. But how about 10,000 customers? 100,000 customers? 1 million customers,
across geographies.
10 million customers across geographies. How do they understand that if they have made this product in India, first how to scale in India itself, in each of the states? How do they take it to, say, the whole African continent, Southeast Asia? How do they take this product and make it very good to the highly regulated markets of Europe and the US? Each of them is a different strategy, right? This is where IKP has to play a role. How do we make their journey again much more smoother for them? How do we give them clarity? What it takes your product from India to African continent or to US? And by the way, there are examples of companies which have done it. Some of the companies I mentioned, you asked me to pick, out of those 1,800, and I picked a couple of them. Some of them have taken products. They've actually, what we in our parlance call flipped. They've even gone to the US, registered a company there, and trying to sell their products. So scale, commercialization, but I will go one step further. Scale is the word that we should be thinking.
Taking that question forward about expansion to other geographies, do you think at some stage, because I've spoken to quite a few entrepreneurs which are incubator or supported by IKP. One of the challenges they face is how when they have to scale across geography, go to other continents, go to other nations.
Yeah.
Do you think at some stage IKP would also think of that role where you will have global presence?
Why not? Right? I mean, the answer is why not, right? See, IKP has reached a stage where it has, of course, it's a national presence. It has also international presence of our partners. We have worked with amazing partners over the years, right? I mean, Gates Foundation is one name I took. Currently, for example, we are working with Blockchain for Impact, which is, again, it started in the Middle East, in Dubai, and then now it is registered in Netherlands. We work with several other agencies globally. We can have IKP innovation vouchers across different geographies. Why not? Why can't entrepreneur in, say, East Africa, in Nairobi, which is a fabulous place, or Uganda, think about IKP. There are other Indian agencies have done that. Now we can partner with, say, a Wilgrow of the world. Wilgrow is in Africa too, right? Why can't we partner with them? The reverse is true too. We can take our entrepreneurs and take them to, say, I'll just pick, say, the African continent. And again, an African continent is just one word.
Yes.
If you go to North,
South,
MENA region is different, East Africa is different, South Africa is different, right? So
it's as complex as India.
Of course, the continent, right? It's a humongous continent, it's an amazing continent. So just picking on African continent itself, it is so nuanced. So how does one entrepreneur, and by the way, our footprint is across India. So I'm just picking Hyderabad. So how does one entrepreneur out of, say, Hyderabad, and she knows that her product is amazing, validated, CE mark, whatever it is, all the global excellence markers are there. But how does she take the product, say, to South Africa? Right? We should be asking that question. How can IKP play a role in that? And I think my team would definitely, start thinking about it. And we don't have to go by numbers, right?
Yeah.
If we say in the next 3 years we have, around 10 startups, help them in the journey for globalization, then I think I would be a very happy person.
Innovators as such face multiple challenges. Indian innovators have their own set of challenges. Are there any challenges as IKP and individually yourself, I've taken over as CEO, you're looking at, addressing in coming time, maybe 1 year or 2 years, any specific challenge that you're looking at, you pick up and fix it?
Yeah, I think, some of the challenges we are seeing being addressed by public agencies like Biotech and NRF, hats off to them, even the state governments are very active. Going back again to our conversations, a startup, 1 week in startup is so fast. Right? They're small, nimble companies, they can work. But what they need is predictability of funding. Funding is oxygen. So how do they get money, appropriate money, in time, so that the cash flow issues are not there, so they can grow, right? But what's the reverse? How do we train them so they can access this money, but they know to speak the language of the person who is giving the money, right? Many of our startups are, built by scientists who are fabulous about, they can talk about the science and technology, but when it comes to talking about the language of the market, where somebody is going to take a risk on them and put in a $5 million, how do we make them understand that, the person with the money, she or he also wants to hear a language of a different kind. So we want to help the startups there like that. I mentioned regulatory understanding different geographies. How do you integrate design for manufacturing from an early stage? How do you integrate regulatory thinking for different markets that you're targeting from an early stage? How do you access network of mentors who can guide you through this? All of this IKP will do.
So to attract, investments, the right innovators, what is that, IKP has, roadmap? What is the blueprint? Have you thought over it? What needs to happen going forward?
Yeah. See, as I said, the seeding has to continue. We have to continue to do the seeding of companies. But we cannot just do seeding. To your question, how do we build globally relevant SMEs anchored in India? That is a different kind of mindset that IKP has to then work where alongside these companies, but it cannot be the numbers driven. You cannot be working with 1,000 companies. So you then choose smaller collective of companies. That curation has to be very good, transparent, but, you just say, hey, we're going to bet on these companies, right? But just saying bet on these companies is one thing, but working with them almost that they think that we are an extended arm of their company is something that we'll have to integrate in our DNA. Speed, right? Because these companies are fast. How do we respond to them? How do you make sure that, they get absolutely laser sharp, incisive, insights about product development, you said commercialization, production and manufacturing, and then different markets and scale.
So what message do you have for early stage startups?
early stage startup, or do I have a message for early stage, mid stage, and
Yeah,
mature
mid
stage?
stage, yes.
I'm just kidding. No. My message to everybody: you could be a researcher in a lab in India, a professor, a PhD, a master's, an undergrad, postdoc, doesn't matter. You could be early stage. You just created your own company, registered a company, okay, and then say, oh, okay, I have a great idea. What do I do next? You could be at a stage that, hey, you know what? I've built this prototype, but I have to make it a MVP, a minimal viable product. I have to validate that. I need access to hospitals. I need access to communities, to do sandboxing. Or you could say, you know what, this is all done, but I need absolute understanding of, regulatory understanding of different markets. How do I go to Europe? What kind of checklists I should have for my product, right? Or you're already in the market, but you want to connect to distributor channels, all of that. So from the range of you're being in the lab and you have a DNA, to start doing something interesting and risky, all the way that you are in the market, which is also risky. We are there for you. Right? Come to us. If we don't have that expertise internally, we'll make sure that we'll find the right expertise that lies outside of IKP in our partners. We have a whole network of stakeholders that we have partnered in that, from Hyderabad to the rest of the world, right? We will promise you that we'll find the right guidance for any of these players. So that is my proposition.
So let's quickly, do a quick wrap up. So in one word, how would you define future of IKP?
Oh, exciting, and making sure that we truly make India a fabulous innovation-led product nation in biotech, medtech, biomedical sciences.
I was about to ask you any sector that you would bet on.
Any sectors? I see currently the flavor of the town is AI, right? And that is true. It is everywhere, right? From helping us draft our emails to analyzing data. AI is going to be, playing a much more integrative role in all fields of human endeavors, including innovation in life sciences and biomedical, right? I mean, you can imagine the structures of protein and antibody design to imaging to making sure, how do you look at crop patterning, integrating data, weather patterns, climate patterns, and then predicting, what may happen to pest control, right? So AI is everywhere. And I'm going to bet that AI will do to humanity what fire did to us.
Dr. Sathya, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you.
And we wish you all the very best in your new innings.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here. And Mr. Sathya, lovely talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.